The hotel in Belize. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Would you please join us in a salute to the flag?
Where is it?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws, 1975. This is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2013 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2012, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Brownlee?
Here.
Mrs. Larrier?
Here.
Leventhal?
Here.
Mr. Ryan? Here. Mayor DeLuca.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7 provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas desire this governing body to comply with the provisions of this act, same time and conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, it does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussions of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan? Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you very much. Sorry for the delay, folks. We were finalizing some contractual language. This evening, we have a relatively thin agenda. We are going to have our first public comment period, and just to make it easier, usually on introduction of a new ordinance, we do not invite people to come up and speak at that time, but I think there might be some people here who would like to speak on the post office rehabilitation area. So if my colleagues are okay with it, if you'd like to speak on that, we'll invite you up just before we consider that. So if you have an agenda, if you are here to speak on the post office rehabilitation area plan, we'll invite you up at the time of agenda item number 9. If you want to speak about anything else, then please come up when I ask for public comment, which would be agenda item number 5. After that public comment period, we'll have a presentation from our Rec Director, Keith Knudsen, on the skate park. And then after that, we'll have our monthly Board of Health meeting. We'll go into the ordinances. We have an ordinance on final passage that regulates massage businesses. We have introduction of a new ordinance, and that's the post office rehabilitation area. And then we have a introduction of another new ordinance, and that's for electric car parking at the train station. We have no discussion items tonight. We have a consent agenda where we'll be awarding a contract for the Memorial Park River retaining wall repair, closing Hickory Drive improvement area, appointing a firefighter, approving bills and claims, and approving some licenses to drive taxis, and also some minutes of June 18th. So that's our agenda, and so the first item of business will be the public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the Township Committee? You come on up here and just give us your name and affiliation or address.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Deborah Collins, the Director of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action for the County of Essex. I am also the Essex County Liaison to the Township of Maplewood. I have a few announcements this evening for the citizens of Maplewood. The first is that from July 13th through the 27th, there will be a butterfly tent safari at the Essex County Environmental Center. It's a $2 suggested donation. You may find out more information by calling 973-228-8776. By the way, I will hand all of this information to Ms. Fritzen, the clerk, at the end of my brief presentation. Then on Thursday, July 25th, this is just a reminder that the Office of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action will host a seminar entitled Demystifying the RFP, or Request for Proposal process. It will be held at the High Lawn Pavilion from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. It will feature 2 county engineers who will walk through the process, talk about the evaluation criteria. We'll also have a brief panel discussion with current entrepreneurs who hold contracts with the county, so it should be quite enlightening. Again, free, but admission is based on a first-come, first-served. It is on a first-come, first-served basis. The telephone number to call is 973-621-2011. Now, the county executive and the board of chosen freeholders are pleased to announce the 2014 Local Arts and History Grant Program. There are 3 information sessions planned where you'll be able to learn all there is to know about the local grant program, including eligibility and guidelines. Both general operating and special project support are available. All nonprofit organizations with cultural programming are invited to attend. The submission deadline is August 9th, 2013. For more information, please call 973-239-2495. And last but not least, the Office of Small Business Development will be hosting a 5-week program. It's actually a 30-hour outreach training program under the Occupational Safety and Health Administration's sponsorship. So it will be held at the Essex County Leroy Smith Public Building. Again, free, but registration is required. Space is limited. We limit the enrollment to 16 people. So, good time to call. The program begins August 30th and will run for 4 consecutive Fridays thereafter. The number to call to register is 973-621-2011. Do you have any questions for me?
Great, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And we are posting this stuff up on the website, correct? Great, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Township Committee?
Hi, Dave Holmkamp, 571 Prospect. I just wanted to take a moment because I noticed when I walked in that the skate park was on the agenda, and I wanted to express my gratitude to Keith, who I think has done a great job in developing that proposal and sharing it with the kids in the community, ages 5 to 20, and maybe beyond that if there are some kids over 20 in the community. My son's been a skateboarder for about 10 years in town. It's sort of a half of a career for him. He worked really closely with Keith to interface with the kids in the community, along with 1 or 2 other kids. And he's off to college in September, but he couldn't be happier that skate park is coming to fruition after quite a few years of kids in the neighborhood really looking forward to something better. So I just wanted to put in a good word for Keith and the Open Space Committee, and I think it's a great project in a great place in town.
Great, thank you.
Congratulations on your graduate.
Anyone else want to address the Township Committee? We will invite those who want to speak on the post office to come up in a couple minutes.
Good evening. My name is Julie Martini. I live at 12 Briarcliff Court. I moved here from Summit 3 years ago, and in Summit, if you're a motorist who doesn't stop for a pedestrian at a designated crosswalk, you get a ticket. I understand from people who've gotten them, it's pretty nasty. I have occasion to drive down Prospect Street a lot, and I'm the only one who stops for pedestrians who are waiting to cross the street. It's wondering if there's something that could be done to encourage people to stop for pedestrians, maybe a ticket. So just think about it. It's sort of, I don't know, unusual, I would have thought, in Maplewood for people not to stop. Thank you.
Mrs. Martini, we are having a Public Safety Committee meeting tomorrow night, and we'll talk to the Chief of Police. We have discussed it before.
Okay.
And we'll impress upon him again.
All
I
right.
share the same sentiment.
Well, I sometimes have to get out of my car and stop people
Right.
who are coming in the other directions for the poor pedestrian. I just
Yeah.
feel badly. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Dwayne McDaniel from Diamond Gym, 732 Irvington Avenue, Maplewood. I want to address the, I guess, the trash can issue that I have in that area. Since 7-Eleven got there, there's a lot of trash up and down the street, and there's only one trash can on the sidewalk, and that's in front of the building. So I have to have my employees dump that trash can at least 3 times a week, and I believe people are dumping in there. In addition to the street curb, I know it's a county road, and I believe they're responsible for cleaning it. I'm not sure we can get somebody on that. I haven't seen a street sweeper in a couple of years. But I have to have my employees sweep from the corner down at least to the bank, because it's all kinds of trash from the 7-Eleven store. So I'm not sure if it's zoned to have another trash can out there, but I think it would help. And I think I have a street light that hasn't been on in years. This is right there on the corner.
And where is this again? I'm sorry.
732 Irvington Avenue, right across from the Extra supermarket.
On the corner of Hillcrest.
Corner Hillcrest. Yeah. There were trees planted a few years ago, and they really haven't been taken care of, like on either side of the street. I do the weed pulling and everything just to maintain the one that I have, but everything else hasn't been maintained at all.
I'm glad the county representative is still here, because we worked with the county to get those trees planted by the county. And we heard the same complaints about the lack of street cleaning then. And so if there's anything you can do to convey that message, you're right, Dwayne, that is a county road, and we don't send our sweepers there. But we expect you guys to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll take a look at the light. We'll have the police take, we need the number. There's a number, there's a little metal strip. Yeah, we need that. We'll send somebody down to get that number and convey that to PSE&G.
Okay, and I thought with the bus stop being moved further down the street, it would be less trash, but it's not. It's a lot of pizza, hot dog boxes from 7-Eleven. I'm not sure if they're allowed to have garbage cans or trash cans outside on the curb, or maybe at the end of their driveway or something, but it's a big mess.
I don't want to cut you off. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Because I wanted to tell you and also Jimmy, we have applied for a grant to do some work in the Irvington Avenue area.
The rehabilitation of the corridor or something.
Well, it's a whole it's a big federal grant that comes through the state and the county. Together, North Jersey is the sponsor. So we've applied for some money to put people down there to do some work with the businesses and the residential community. It is a problem. We put garbage cans down there, and the people dump, as you probably know, they dump their home garbage in or business garbage in, and it gets filled real quick. But let us figure this out. If we can get this grant, that would be a real home run, because we can then put some people there to work and trying to build. We've tried to build some cohesion among the business people there, and it's been pretty hard because there's like you two guys who are like stable. The bank manager changes often. Even now, the manager that I used to work with there is no longer. That's a new person. So, but let us work on that. These things we can we have the county here, so we convey the message, and we'll look at the street lighting.
Terrific. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, we're going to close this public comment period, and again, we'll have anyone who wants to speak on the post office rehabilitation, I'll ask you to come up on item number 9, and then anyone who wants to address the Township Committee again can come up at the end on item number 13 when we have public comment again. Now we're going to have a presentation by our Director of Recreation and Cultural Affairs, Keith Knudsen.
Before I begin, I have brought some visual aids. I just wanted to know the best spot to set it up so it could be seen.
Speak louder.
I was looking for the best spot for the visual aids I brought with me to be seen.
Right
Should I just put it in the corner right here?
You can bring that, yes. Actually, a little closer.
So, to here.
I think you should do is present it first and then put it on.
Okay, good evening. How are you all tonight?
Okay.
Good. I'm here tonight to discuss the improvements proposed for the skate park at Maple Crest. I want to take a quick moment to tell you what I've learned about the park, where I came from, and where it is that we want to go. The skate park was originally put together by volunteers years ago in the community pool parking lot. Made of wooden skating elements, it provided the youth with a place to go skateboard safely. Later, the skate park would be moved by the DPW department to its new home at Maple Crest Park. The equipment was placed on an asphalt pad and then screwed in by screws to secure it in place. The 2,600 square foot park has enjoyed years of many skateboarding enthusiasts, but still lacked the kind of challenging elements for the more advanced skateboarder. Over the years, the skate park has become a victim of its own success. From the numerous amounts of daily users to the programs offered by the YMCA, the park got its fair share of use. As you can see, thank you, Bob. So as you can see, the equipment has become outdated, damaged, and generally too small for the skateboarding youth. Some pieces have already been removed for safety reasons, and any programming scheduled there has been discontinued. That's why last year we had invited the skateboarders to a meeting. We wanted to find out from the very people that would be using this park what it is that they envisioned for a new park in our area. We showed them catalogs, gave them a survey, and asked them to design their own skateboard park. The information that we received was beneficial to our goal of understanding what is needed, and with this information, we now have a vision for the new skateboard park. This brings us to present day, where we are now planning for the improvements to be made at the park. Now, this is just a rendering, but as you can see, we are looking to more than double the skateboard park with the hopes of reaching 8,000 square feet for the new park, though the one you're looking at is about 5,000 square feet. We're looking to replace our wooden skate park elements with new cement ones. These elements will bring strategically placed improvement and also improve the flow of the park. It will feature beginner, intermediate, and more advanced skating designs so that boards of all users can enjoy the facility. Thanks, Bob. Obviously, there are many different options to choose from, so the township will need to seek out different proposals from skate park designers to decide what the new park will look like. Of course, we'll ask for a little help from our skate park participants to help steer our direction. After design is chosen and approved by our joint insurance fund, we will go out to bid, and we will look for qualified skate park companies to build the new park. The new skate park is proposed to replace the old one in the same location. It will be near the tennis court and in between the walking paths. The new design will not remove any existing trees, nor will it interfere with any recreation activity in the area. It will simply be an expansion and replacement of the already existing park. The work could take anywhere between 4 to 6 months to complete, and of course our existing skate park will have to be closed during that time. It is my hope that a lot of the construction can be done during the colder months when the activity is a bit lighter. When we reopen the park, the overall curb appeal of Maple Crest will improve, our skateboarders will have an improved area to challenge their skills, and the opportunity for additional skateboarding programs may become available once again. I thank you all for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Keith, I thought I heard you say earlier in your presentation that the current facility is closed.
No, it's not closed. It will have to be closed when construction begins.
I heard that. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought earlier on you said that it was already down. Never much.
Go ahead.
I have a comment, if there are no questions. I want to thank you for the process that you've been through and involving the skateboarders. And I'm very pleased that your presentation to the Open Space Trust Fund and they're subsequently recommending to the Township Committee, which approved the over $100,000 to make these improvements.
I don't know, are there any actual, just out of curiosity, how many people actually use the skate park?
On average, we can see anywhere from 20 to 30 skateboarders at one time. I was actually just behind tonight just to visit it since I was giving a presentation, and I found 22 back there just a few minutes ago. So it has a lot of usage.
Okay.
I was involved about a dozen years ago with Jerry Starr, a local resident who started to raise the money for the first skate park. And opening it up at the pool parking lot, which was, I mean, the only thing we had was just a ramp. And then after that, we put the facility behind the first aid squad. But this is a much better plan. And then we moved it up here, but it was pretty much moving what we had up here. So this is a terrific plan, and thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. If I may just take one last moment, first of all, to thank Justin Helmkamp's father, who came in earlier. Justin has been a wonderful person who's been there since the beginning, one of my biggest enthusiasts. I also have a number of volunteers that have been very helpful along the way. Not being a skateboarder myself, their guidance has been vital. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item is the Board of Health meeting.
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this is to state for the record that the adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2013 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2012, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Mr. Brownlee?
Here.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Ms. Leventhal?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mrs. Larry?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7 provides that the Maplewood Board of Health has discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas desire the Maplewood Board of Health to comply with the provision of this act, same time conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Health of the Township of Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the Board of Health by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observation of the actions and discussions of the Board of Health at all its regular meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome to July's Board of Health meeting. We will have the approval of our minutes, if I can get someone to.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Abstain. I was absent.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes. Okay, thank you. I'll have Mr. Rowe come up and give his report. You all received his reports. There's no narrative, but he will give us that now.
Yes, a couple of special programs. On July 4th, we're doing the blood bank. The van will be parked right on Oakview Avenue, so we're hoping a lot of residents will donate blood. Last year, they had a lot of people give blood, well over almost 40 people. So it was a very good turnout. We're hoping we're able to do that again. The Humane Society will be back July 29th, so we're continuing our work with them to spay and neuter animals. This month, I've spoken to you this before, but one of the concerns after Hurricane Sandy that I had is what they call medical need shelter. And so I just wanted to advise you, I wrote a letter to Sheriff Fontura, who's the head of the county emergency management, asking him, expressing the need for this type of shelter and asking him if we could organize a meeting with the health officers and the hospitals to try to do some planning on it. So I'm hoping to get a positive response from him. But I realize the county is really the key in the way we organize our emergency management. So I want to get him on board. So if you have any contact, please, with him, please, please ask him to call me, and I'd love to, maybe not him, but, somebody else in the OEM office, and I'd love to get started on this. I think it's a gap in our emergency plans that we need to try to fill. The nurses have started a new service at our adult clinic, and it's called Metabolic Syndrome Risk Assessment. And this is kind of for people like me who are getting a little overweight, blood pressure maybe a little too high, don't have trouble with blood sugar yet, but I have some of the other things going on. So this is, what happens is, all these things pile up, and then you're becoming at greater risk for illness. So the nurses are going to talk to people specifically about these things and try to make sure if they need medication, they're on medication, or if it's a lifestyle change they need to do, to try to encourage them to do that. And so I'm glad to see that the nurses doing that. They did work out a protocol in conjunction with Dr. Pam Grover, so we have good medical backing on our procedures. Just two more quick points. You may look at our animal control report. We had a busy month in court. We got about a dozen guilty pleas for dogs running loose, stray cats, feeding stray cats. And also what happened this month, it hadn't happened before, was when we pick up stray animals, they're often sick. And by state law, we're required to take them for veterinary care, and of course that costs us money. So when we're able to identify the person who was causing the violation, we had the court impose restitution as part of the penalty. And this month, the judge imposed over $1,600 in penalties for restitution for bills that the township incurred taking care of strays. So I was very pleased and encouraged to have that happen. That's great. Finally, I've been working with Ms. Leventhal on Maplewood Loves Wellness, and we're planning a fair this fall in September, Maplewood Loves Wellness Day, Maplewood Loves Wellness Week, and so I don't want to take away if you're reporting on it, but we're hoping to have another good fair. One thing we're hoping to do this year that we didn't do before is a healthy cooking contest. And we're going to invite licensed food establishments in Maplewood, not out of town, but just Maplewood, to cook 2 healthy dishes for our Maplewood Loves Wellness Fair. And we'll have a panel of judges. Let me know if you're interested. And we're going to judge them on, we're going to have dietitians to judge them on healthfulness and nutritional value, but we also need people just to judge them on taste. So we're looking forward to doing that, and I think it could be a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that we'll attract a good audience to the Maplewood Loves Wellness.
Batter dipped deep fried bacon for the recipe.
And it brings out all sorts of good ideas, because we're thinking we're going to have them post the ingredients and the cooking thing, so maybe we'll wind up doing a cookbook from it. The other part of Maplewood Loves Wellness is we're applying to Overlook Hospital for a grant to start a walking program to encourage people to walk more as individuals and as groups. So that's what a guy like me needs. I need to walk more to get healthier. And so I'm hoping we can encourage lots of other residents in town to do that. That's my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Leventhal.
Have you heard back at all from New Jersey Transit on the ditch over by Pathfinder?
I'm sorry to say, yes, I did hear. Well, I heard back from them that they got my complaint. But
okay.
I'm sorry to say I haven't been back to re-inspect. I will do that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Rowe, tonight we're going to consider on final passage the massage business ordinance.
Yes.
I understand that we have a massage business in town in which one of the employees pled guilty to something related to that massage business.
Yes, the owner of the business pled guilty in municipal court for a violation of the local ordinance for employing a non-permitted massage therapist.
Now, is that grounds to revoke the license?
We actually are going to have a conference call on that in the next couple of days. And if in fact that is the determination that Mr. Moore wants to do, then they're entitled to a hearing that Mr. Manning actually conducts by virtue of our ordinance. So, Mr. Rowe, myself, Ms. De Palma, and Chief Semino are going to participate in that call.
Okay. Can you report on that at your next at the next meeting of the board? Thank you.
Mr. Brownlee?
Two things. One, a question about the restitution of fees. You mentioned that there were stray animals, but you were able to go back to the owners. So when you say stray, they were just loose, not stray like not owned by somebody.
One was a dog that had an owner, and when we picked it up, it was sick. So
I don't understand.
we had to take it to the vet.
Mm-hmm.
And the other was a person who was feeding stray cats, and almost all of the stray cats were sick. So we had to take them to the vet, and so we gave him a summons for feeding stray cats, and then we also advised the judge of what the veterinary bill was for taking care of those stray cats that he was feeding. So we're going to try to continue doing that. So in addition to whatever just the fine, almost all the stray animals we pick up are sick. It's just part of the animal business, control business. Stray animals are often sick.
Okay, forgive me for just trying to follow this one all the way through here, but the ones that are not owned by somebody, they're feeding a stray cat, it's not owned by somebody. They're sick, you take them to the vet, see that they're better, find the person who was feeding the stray cat, but then what do you do with the stray cat?
Once they're healed, we take them to the Jersey Animal Coalition shelter.
Okay, they are taking them.
Yes.
Okay.
Reluctantly.
Okay, because I remember that was an issue before, so, okay. And the other had to do with a couple of the nice programs you mentioned, the blood bank and the nurses working on the metabolic syndrome, I think you called it?
Yes, metabolic syndrome.
And two nice sounding programs, initiatives, if you will. How are we kind of spreading the word about these things? You know, we're hearing about it in here, but how do somebody on...
I've advertised on the town website, I've advertised on Maplewood Patch, and I've advertised on Maplewood Online. In fact, I've started a thread, because I tend to think, I don't know how many people read those threads, but it seems to be a good way to advertise.
Okay.
It's not the only way we advertise, but it seems to help.
Are we putting flyers in the library?
Yes, we've done that, yes.
Okay, all right.
I put up a few flyers about the blood bank. I put up one at the town pool,
Mm-hmm.
and I also put one by the train station and one at the town hall.
Okay.
So I probably could and should do more, but that's what I did.
Okay, I just wanted to somehow coordinate how we disseminate the information. It's something I have an interest in. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? This is the time when we invite the public to come and address the board. Is there anyone who would like to address the Board of Health? Seeing no one, I will close the public comment portion and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Larry?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back to the regular agenda of the Township Committee. We're on item number 8, and we have an ordinance on final passage.
Mr. Mayor, item number 8, ordinance on final passage, ordinance number 2724-13. It's an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2360-06 regarding the regulation of massage businesses. This ordinance will ensure the health and safety of consumers of the Township of Maplewood.
This ordinance has been passed, copies posted on the bulletin board of the municipal buildings, and copies made available to the public according to law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance, which regulates massage parlors, massage businesses, excuse me?
Well, actually, Mayor, this is just, as we discussed the last meeting, this is just a correction to make it in compliance with state law because massage practitioners are licensed by the state.
Correct. Right. Seeing no one, will close the public hearing, and Ms. Leventhal, can we get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move this ordinance be adopted as a whole, and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Okay, next we have the introduction of a new ordinance.
Item 9, Mayor, ordinance 2725-13. It's an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan for the Maplewood Village Post Office Rehabilitation Area. This ordinance will adopt a redevelopment plan for the township property known as the post office site.
Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance?
Hi, my name is John Dilley. My wife and I have the Bee and Thistle Antique Shop in town. We've been located on Baker Street since 1981. And at the last meeting, I expressed a concern about business continuity during the post office redevelopment. As part of that, I am kind of worried about streets being closed off and preventing free flow of traffic into the center. But at the last meeting, I mentioned that I was really concerned about the problem of parking on Baker Street. It's my understanding from talking to some of the parking authorities that go around town that there is indeed an ordinance that talks about if you're parked on Baker Street, you can only be parked on Baker Street for 2 hours, and to go out there during lunchtime and play musical cars and switch places on Baker Street is illegal, as it is in the parking lot on Baker Street. I'm just wondering if any consideration has been given to my request that that ordinance be enforced and that we free up those spots for customers, rather than people playing musical cars.
There's a different interpretation than what you were told by the traffic enforcement officers or whoever gave you that information. Certainly if someone's in a lot and they're parked in space A and they go out and come back 5 minutes later and park in space B, they're entitled to park there for whatever time it is. So when we go around and we put down where they are, we do it by hand. You've seen them, right? Okay, so we do it by hand and we say the time that they're there. If that car moves within the time period and if it's located somewhere else, we don't know what the gap was between, whether that was an immediate switch from spot A to spot B. If they're moving their cars and playing a game like that, they're within the time period, there's little we can do other than to try to encourage them not to do that. Now, my information is that most of the people doing that are from Wells Fargo and Keller. Right. We're going to be talking to Wells Fargo people up the ladder, and we're going to be talking to Keller people. We have made merchant parking right down the street. And so what we are doing is we are enforcing the parking there now, and if you talk to the parking enforcement officers, they are telling me at least that the number of tickets are going down because people are getting the message to move their cars.
They're doing a great job of doing the 2-hour limit.
Right.
But this musical car idea is still
Yeah, it's a problem.
really good at it.
You know, if they want to do it, they're going, whether it's from the bank or the real estate, we've got to convey to them that it hurts us all and it certainly hurts you. So we are going to do that. I've been speaking to folks in the village, and we're going to do that. But we did check on the information that you conveyed to us at the last meeting, and I was told that that's not the case, that if someone moves and is legally parked there, we can't determine if it's musical chairs or not. And even if it is, I mean, if they ride around the block and park in a different spot. I mean, I know it's not like that. I'm sure they're just backing up 10 feet and going up 10 feet and moving a car in the middle, right? That's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, and used to, in the old days, when they used to put the chalk marks, all you had to do was move your car off the chalk mark,
Right.
and then
Right.
it started all over again.
Right, because,
Now they're writing down the license plate numbers,
Right.
and they know who's been.
right, and they know that the people are playing a game. We have to convey to them that the game is not something that's appreciated in the village.
The other thing is about business interruption during this, when they go into, I guess, tear down the post office building and whatever. I've looked through the plan, and I'm finding some difficulty in discerning what actual measures are gonna be taken to help, traffic in and out of Maplewood so we can bring shoppers into the market.
There is a document known as a developer's agreement that will incorporate construction guidelines and will address those issues. It's not prepared. It is something that is done in almost all development. So that is something, it'll be, street maintenance, sidewalk maintenance, all those things, and it'll be incorporated into that document.
Okay, is that gonna be, would it be possible to have that distributed to merchants?
Well, that'll be up to the governing body. Okay, but certainly I think that everybody would want everybody's input with regard to it. So.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Sure.
Well, we did add stuff to, I'm just trying to remember, just trying to make sure I got the right one. We do have this item of impact on the area, and we are going to, as one of the requirements for the request for qualifications, we're going to ask where they've done work in similar locations to Maplewood, similar downtown locations. And we're going to go talk to those folks who run the town or run the parking there and find out what steps they took and what lessons they learned from that development.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to address the Township Committee on this ordinance?
Finally made it into this building. It's beautiful.
Can't hear you.
I said I finally made it into this building. It's beautiful.
Well, you want to come into this condition and not come into this room too often.
Exactly. Good evening, Your Honor. My name is Norman Scribner, local merchant. I have a question regarding the possibility of Kings moving into this establishment. And my question is that it seems that this is pretty much, we're sure that Kings is moving in there, or what if in the event that they decide not to go through with it, what choice, what regulations, or what, with the construction company, what do we have to be able to have a choice or a position, someone that we would like in the area?
Well, the design standards allow either a grocery store or multiple stores. The difficulty is that when you get to multiple stores, we start to lack control over who goes in there. I think what we will do is when we look at in the qualifications of developers, we will look at the types of retailers that they have worked with in the past. I mean, this is all about showing us your track record. So we'll look at who they've worked with. Many developers work with specific retailers. And if we find, or if when they're making the presentation, we're going to ask for option A, which is the grocery store, and option B, which is not the grocery store. And if it wasn't the grocery store, who would they be looking to attract? So that will become part of our decision-making if they tell us, that they're interested in attracting, a bunch of chain stores or stores that we think are not going to be conducive to the avenue, to Maplewood Avenue.
Contingency plan, if Kings decides not to go in there, do we have any other companies or businesses that we might like to go in there?
We are doing a business recruitment plan right now where we're approaching, I think it's 400 businesses that we've identified. That may be a little high. Maybe it's closer to 300. But in any event, these are smaller scale. A lot of them are in existence in surrounding areas. We're looking to see if they're interested in expanding or relocating. What our retail consultant has told us is that we want to continue to look for the gift shops, the boutiques, also build up on the restaurant theme. I mean, quite honestly, there's a couple restaurants, or at least one in the village, that's asked me about the possibility of their moving into that building. So there may be even existing businesses in the village that want to locate into that building. So that'll all be part of the mix. It gets harder with multiple tenants for us to have as much control, to be honest, because it's just, if they're going to get the supermarket, they're going to get the supermarket. They're going to cut a deal right away. Everyone's going to know it. If they have 5 storefronts and they can tell us 2 or 3, we may not know who those other 2 or 3 are.
Well, it kind of leads me into my second question, which is regarding ratables. Has the Township Committee done any study on the ratables that would be returned from this development? And would it make any difference if King's is there as opposed to multiple different stores? How does that affect us, and what is the, finally, what's the impact on the residents or people in town? Will they receive any benefit from reduction in taxes or, new schools or whatever the case might be? I mean, what the revenue that is developed from that? And I understand, I think Maplewood has a rateable return of $3 billion, is it, something like that? It's a sizable amount. So if this comes in at, say, $10 million, does that help? What does that do to the impact of the town, and how does the township benefit from that?
Well, there's a couple ways that it benefits. One is we're going to sell the land, so there's some net gain from the sale of the land, and then whatever gets built there is going to be assessed. It's a mixed-use building, so the assessment will be probably an income-driven, which would be the rents that they're charging, and those would be commercial rents and residential rents. I don't think that we know yet what level of income we're going to get there. We're not anticipating any kind of abatement. We don't think an abatement is needed in Maplewood Village. Money will come in. There'll be some money that comes in. How it gets used will be used, I can't say to reduce taxes, but certainly to support town government and schools and the county if they take care of Irvington Avenue.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else want to address the Township Committee on this ordinance?
Martini at 12 Briarcliff Court.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that, speak a little louder?
Julie Martini from 12 Briarcliff Court. I'm getting a little confused. Won't we lose control of what happens to that land after you sell it?
No, that's the reason why we're doing, it's called an area in need of rehabilitation. It allows us to, under the state law, it allows us to negotiate with the buyer as to what would go there.
Which is a development company.
Yeah.
But won't we eventually lose control of what happens?
No, because there's a redevelopers agreement, and so there's some responsibility up through the plan, the site plan, and all that. So you have that control, what it looks like, how it gets built, how the cars move around, things like that. And then there's a redevelopment agreement which requires certain things that we'll negotiate with the developer. That's a contract. So that's, but we will not be able to say, put you in apartment A and put you in apartment B. We won't be able to do that. Or when it comes down to the finals, we're not going to be able to say, put, XYZ store in this spot and ABC store here.
Right, you won't be able to.
We won't be able to do that.
Right, so you only have a general idea of what possible tenants will be there, right? Because your developer will say, I work with,
Right.
Walmart or Kmart or whatever.
No, Kmart won't fly, but yes, yeah. But if we had somebody who come here, said, I've worked in downtown Fanwood, and we built this, and these are the, we put in a mailbox, et cetera, or we put in, I don't even think we put a FedEx or a UPS, or we put in a photo shop or a card shop or, something like that. We would look at those and see if those are, who owns it, how it, talk to those, would get a sense of how they do their recruitment. If they come in and say, we do a Kmart and, we work with Quick Check and we work with this and that, that's not what we're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else want to address the Township Committee on this ordinance?
Hi, it's Dave Helmkamp for 571 Prospect. Is that working?
It doesn't sound like it.
Hello? Is there a switch here?
No, just talk, yeah, we can hear you, just talking to you.
You're on.
Yep, we hear you.
First of all, I wanted to add a remark about the skate park, which is, don't underestimate the economic value of that park, because I can tell you I've spent plenty of money while my kid has been skateboarding in other communities.
Right.
So it really is a small little anchor for that part of Springfield. A lot of money and a lot of time, too. So if you give people other things to do in Springfield, they'll keep themselves busy. I wanted to provide a little update on Engage Maplewood. We have been continuing on some of the goals that we talked about, I think it was 4 weeks ago. And I spoke about long-term and short-term. We have about 400 supporters at this point. Votes are trickling in on responding just to a general question of wanting details and transparency on the post office project. Just kind of a general statement like that. And the votes continue to come in. We're not really soliciting them. They're on the website. There are some tariff sheets around town, so it's been sort of a background task. But there's clearly still an appetite for information on the design and on the process going forward. We're trying to respond to that as time permits with just factual information, interpreting part of the document, or explaining, as you just did, how the redevelopment law works. Not providing legal advice, of course, but just saying this is our understanding. So we're I think that that's consistent with what we formed to do in this case, and we plan to continue to do it. The longer term goal is still intact. We're not pursuing it at the moment, really. It's kind of ripening. But the notion is really just to improve the effectiveness of the discourse in the community, and it's not a pejorative statement. It's just looking at, I said improve, my notes really said here facilitate. Looking at effective and timely information flow in the forms that people want, suits their lifestyle, suits their availability. Looking at efficient mechanisms for them to participate and provide input. And from my point of view, the task is really one of just surveying the community in one form or another, and recognizing that there are a lot of information sources and there are a lot of mechanisms in place, and just kind of exploring with people if they know about them, what's good about them, what's bad about them, and see if there are opportunities for improvement. I think it overlaps with activities that are probably occurring, I know are occurring in various places around town, both media outlets and committees within the township. And when we turn to this task, we'll want to interact with those existing.
Worst ringtone ever.
That's my granddaughter, sorry.
Do you know what happens if that happens in a courtroom?
glad she didn't do what she normally does. Go ahead.
Right. That's basically where we're at. I just wanted to provide that sort of update based on the last few weeks.
Okay, thank you.
To the extent that you're able to identify some of the resources that some of the people that you're working with say that they would like to see, that they are using currently or would like to use, if you could provide that information, that would be helpful.
Yeah, of course. In
Thank you.
fact, if we get into this mode, and we haven't, but it's still, as I say, it's ripening, I think we'd like to sit down with Communications Committee and understand how you guys have already looked at the issue.
Right. I mean, I'm saying if you're already hearing some things, if you could provide us that would be good. We'll jump right into it. Thank you.
Anyone else want to address the Township Committee on this ordinance?
Hi, Enda Sexer, Euclid Avenue. I have a list of questions.
Sorry, could you repeat your name and your
Sorry, Enda Sexer. I'm on Euclid Avenue.
Euclid.
I have a list of questions and comments that I really would love for you all to think about before you make your decision. First of all, I still do not understand why you're in such a hurry to sell and develop one of the most important sites in town. Why do you go to a developer and not to architects? Developers do not necessarily have creative solutions. They typically use formulaic plans, which are then site fit, almost the same way Toys R Us is site fit wherever it's being placed. An architect, on the other hand, would have a unique approach to the site and to the town. How will the actual, and somebody else just spoke about this, how will the actual construction period impact the existing businesses and parking in town? How many businesses do you calculate will go under because of this disruption? What risk are you willing to take? How many people will shop elsewhere during this period? And have you spoken to merchants in town about this? We were told that the sale of the police station and subsequent building of the new residential units would have a positive impact on our tax burden. But I never saw any analysis regarding this, and it must be too early to see any impact because my taxes keep going up. And then whatever money was gleaned by selling that site must have gone into buying the women's club. So I don't see that there is any impact on the town because it must have been just a swap. So again, I ask, will this new building actually have any positive impact on our residential property taxes? And if so, to what projected level? Where's the analysis? And if not, then why bother disrupting the town to build on this site? Should the town sell this site or rather retain it as a precious public land? Shouldn't we have a town-wide referendum on the sale of the property? Hey, why not sell Rickleton Square too? Should this site be developed as a building mass or rather as an extension of Rickleton Square? The concept for all these new buildings, Station House as well as this new one, come from a program being promoted by the state called the Transit Village. This is essentially the urbanization of the suburb, the goal of which is to create, the goal of which is to create a walkable suburb, typically for areas of ex-urban sprawl. However, we are not an area of typical suburban sprawl, and we are already a walkable suburb. Half of the town, including me, walks to the train every morning. So what's the point? I have not yet seen a really stellar example of the Transit Village concept translated into reality. Built in South Orange, they couldn't sell them, and now they're rentals. Built in Morristown, they tower over the train station, totally out of scale for the rest of that area of Morristown. Those are two examples. Maplewood Village Center is too small and unique to handle the scale of these projects. This is an unusual town center that has no large thoroughfare cutting through as some of the aforementioned towns have. In fact, as you all well know, one has to wind through small residential streets to access the village center. It doesn't fit the typical profile. Who says we need this and why? Have you all considered the idea of the town retaining ownership of this precious central parcel of land and making Rickleton Square larger? maybe with a glassed-in winter garden in the middle, open to all, free and easy. Now, wouldn't that be amazing? You could look at Bryant Park or Madison Square Park in Manhattan as examples. You could even put parking underneath it, underneath the green space created. Then we would have a town that marches to its own beat, doesn't fall into the trap of this transit village concept. As well, there is history on this site. I believe the post office site was the site of the first school in Maplewood. Rickleton was the first teacher in town. How will this be woven? How will this historic fact be woven into the project? Finally, there seems to be a lack of transparency, communication, and engagement with the public on this important decision for the township. I speak to people I know who are long-term residents like me, over 30 years. These are typically involved residents of this town who, when I ask, they say, "What post office project? I didn't hear about it yet." Using patch-in emails reach only a small, self-selected sample of residents. They do not reach a majority of townspeople. I would actually like to know how many people are signed up for that township email list. How many out of the 20,000 or so citizens of town? So how can the township, how can the town council do a better job of keeping people involved, and why do they not seem to endeavor to do so? One thought: the town makes a great effort to send out snail mail, real, actual letters on a regular basis to inform us of our tax increases, our sewer bill increases, and more. Note, there's never a decrease. This is never done via patch and via email. So, for such an important issue as this, after all, this is our public property, why hasn't the town council sent out actual mail to every single household in Maplewood, informing them of this important project and soliciting their engagement in the process? I know I have never received any real mail. You need to take the time to do this and postpone your decision until the process of properly informing and engaging the citizens of this town is accomplished. What's the hurry here? Why does this have to happen over the next few weeks, with a meeting every week, including this holiday week when many are out of town? What's the real agenda here? A very important issue at the heart of this matter is the definition, to me, of what it means for you to be our town council. Did we elect you to make decisions for us without consulting us in a vacuum? Or did we elect you to make decisions based on transparency, on your listening to our voices and soliciting the opinions of those of us who elected you? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Township Committee? Okay, we're going to move forward with Ordinance 2725-13.
Mr. Chairman, I move this ordinance, I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading. Its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and the hearing to be held on
July 16th.
Be held on next page, July 16th.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have another ordinance on introduction.
Item 10, Mayor, ordinance, introduction, new ordinance, ordinance number 2726-13. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This ordinance will expand the type of vehicles permitted to park on Donnell Road in an area previously designed for electric cars only.
Ms. Leventhal?
Mr. Mayor, move the passage of this ordinance on its first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on July 16, 2013.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Consent agenda, item number 12. Mr. Desiderio?
Mayor, with regard to resolution number 13713, there was a bid for the Memorial Park River retaining wall repairs. The low bidder was disqualified because their bid did not conform with statutory requirements. I wrote to them on July 1st yesterday and actually spoke to the principal, advising him that the bid would be awarded to the second low bidder, and I gave him an opportunity to come tonight to address the governing body with regard to that. So is anybody here from HEAR Construction? No one is responding.
No one appears.
No one is responding, Mayor.
Okay, can we get a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Is there anyone who would like to address the Township Committee? Seeing no one, we'll close that session. Reports from departments, none. Mr. Manning?
Yes, I would like to remind everyone that the summer edition of the Maple Leaflet was published yesterday. It went out via the internet, and so keep a lookout for it. It has a lot of good information. Farmers Market is open every Monday. If you go to the farmers market, I think at least one, but maybe two of the main farmers have an email list. And if you sign up for that, you can get notice on the day of what produce is coming into season and what's available, and also a discount, like a $3 discount on $15 worth of purchases, which is pretty reasonable.
Could you repeat that?
Okay. When you go to the farmers market, you can ask the farmers if they have an email list where they will, you take your email address and will send you information about produce that is coming into season on that, coming up, etc. And also, I received today a $3 discount coupon on $15 worth of purchases at.
So it depends on the vendor. It's not universal necessarily. They all do that.
Say that again?
It's not necessarily universal. You're saying all the vendors will do
No,
that?
I said ask the two farmers.
Gotcha.
The two, right.
Just
We have
those
two
two.
farmers there. We have a specialty and three specialty people.
Okay.
By the way, because I know you're interested, we don't think that the juice lady is going to be showing up. So, yeah, I know. So we are looking, anyone out there in television land, if you have a small business and you would like to bring your product to Maplewood Farmers Market on Mondays from 2 to 7 at Springfield Avenue in Indiana, please contact the administrator's office at the main number, extension 2003.
But the pickles are there, right?
Pickles, yes, they're there. Okay, three more items, I'm sorry. Parking is now available at 60 Woodland Road, the former women's club. It's now available. We have 24-hour parking, we have overnight parking, we have 2-hour parking during the day for merchants and for people who are using Maplewood Village to shop. Municipal offices will be closed this Thursday for Independence Day. All but essential public safety functions will be closed, but we will reopen again on Friday the 5th. I have given you, and we've gone back and forth and had discussions over an agreement, a license for the management, the interim management of 60 Woodland Road with HK Foundation doing business as HK Project. And there was also a series of rules and regulations which we went over and developed for the use of that property for the licensee and sub-licensees. So I'm asking now for a motion to be memorialized by resolution to execute the agreement and the rules and regulations, if that is your pleasure.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
And that's it for my report, unless there are questions for me.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
In the parking at 60 Woodland, we had reserved commuter parking at the train station, at the police station.
That is
prior, somewhere around 15 or 16. We ought to contact those folks, if we have not yet, and let them know that there is similar parking available at 60 Woodland.
Okay.
We will.
Okay. And just on the leaflet, we received the monthly website reports, and I sent this around, this little analysis, and it seems that when we did the email blast on the leaflet, we got over 1,300 visits to the website on that day and another 944 on the day after, and typically the visits are about a little under 500.
Per day.
So, per day. Just for the record, when we did a blast on the police office meeting, we did a blast on the 17th, We got roughly 1,100.
mean the post office meeting?
Post office meeting, I'm sorry. We did a blast on the post office meeting that was held on June 18th, and we got about 1,100 visits. And then we did a blast on the post office final draft plan, and we got about 1,200 visits. So we have been sending information out, and people have been responding to those blasts and directing to our website. So I think just for our communication strategy, it seems to be working. And just to put it in perspective, we have 7,200 households in Maplewood. So if we ended up with 1,000, I don't know how many we have on the list.
3,500.
3,500, so.
Almost half.
Yeah, well, some of those are multiple in the household, but it's a pretty significant number when you look at how many households and how many people on the list, and we got to continue to do that to build that up. I think it'd be good.
And we keep doing that, and we will.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Manning? Mr. Desiderio?
Yeah, I think Mr. Manning wants one additional resolution.
That's for you.
For me?
Yes.
Okay. It's my understanding, Mayor, that the governing body, at least at its last meeting, suggested that you would entertain alcoholic beverages being consumed at 60 Woodland Road. If that is in fact your decision, then I would suggest that there be a resolution to that effect, basically that liquor may be consumed at 60 Woodland Road upon permission of the Township Business Administrator.
We get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Now, this would be
This will be through the end of the year.
through the end of the year, December 31st, and then if we want to continue, we would look at the ordinance that we have.
Correct.
Okay. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mrs. Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you.
I have one other thing. Ms. Leventhal actually brought it to my attention. You received a email from Christine Tiratelli in my office with regard to that ugly subject, the Passaic River litigation. You may recall that Maplewood was one of, I think, 13 public entities that were involved in an appeal to the appellate division. The appellate division, frankly, didn't want to deal with it and dismissed it on procedural grounds. There is a move to seek certification before the Supreme Court with regard to this issue. They're trying to solicit public bodies to join in that at a cost of $2,500 or $3,500 per public employee, actually per public entity. If in fact you were to do that and the Supreme Court were to grant certification, which frankly I think is highly unlikely, then there would be additional fees for moving forward with that. Given the present state of it, the fact that this issue is pretty much done, we're waiting for final approval on its settlement, it is my recommendation that you not be one of the parties to move forward with this. So that's my suggestion, and if someone thinks differently, I'd be happy to say that we want to join, but I just don't think, I think it's good money after bad, quite frankly, at this point.
So no action, no, we don't take any action.
No, I will just advise the group that Maplewood is not going to be a party, if that's what you want.
That sounds like good advice to me.
Well, I tried to, Mr. Ryan. Yeah, I just don't, I was encouraged by the last one, and I recommended it. I just don't, first off, the Supreme Court takes very, very few cases. Given the short shift that the appellate division gave this case, I think it highly unlikely the Supreme Court is going to do it.
It's one thing if you say it, but if Mr. Ryan concurs, I think that's definitely
Once two lawyers.
the.
Two lawyers.
Absolutely not.
I'd like to, do we need to give you a vote on that?
Does anyone want to move forward with it? No, okay.
The lack
And
of,
I- and I would-
lack of motion.
It fails for lack of
Right.
interest.
Okay, and I'd like to emphasize that the opposition is very strong from both business and environmental groups, and they don't usually,
No, this is not the litigation.
no, this
This
is
is not,
the
excuse me,
spill.
this is not the bill.
Isn't this
No, this is on the litigation, appellate division litigation,
all right.
on the
okay.
Spill Act.
Well, I'm not one of you lawyers, so,
Okay.
thank you. Thanks for explaining all this.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Anything from Mr. Desiderio? Okay. Ms. Fritzen?
I hope you like your summer location. We'll be here through the second meeting in September. And it's been advertised that way, and I've been making an effort to cover that both legally and on buildings so that people know to come here through our second meeting in September. With that being said, Mayor, maybe you'd want to make a determination tonight on your second meeting in August. It's been tradition that we haven't had the second meeting in August. And maybe you want to make that determination tonight so we can advertise it.
I think we should cancel the second meeting in August.
Second.
Get a motion to it?
So moved.
Mr.
Call the
Brownlee?
roll.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Leventhal?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
That's it, Mayor.
Question for Ms. Fritzen?
Question for Ms. Fritzen.
Could you give us an idea of what costs the township is going to incur for the primary election in August?
Oh, okay, good question, because I have a positive answer, that the state of New Jersey, we've been told through County of Essex, will be picking up all the costs for both the August 13th primary and also the Wednesday, October 16th election.
So are we going to be out of pocket and then reimbursed by them, or are we going to, they're going to handle the costs up front?
Well, I think that we will not have any out-of-pocket expenses whatsoever.
Great.
That's what I'm led to believe at this point.
Anything else?
Salaries of our workers and everything.
Pizza?
Pizza.
That too?
Okay. Nothing?
That's it, Mayor.
Okay. Reports from elected officials. Mr. Ryan?
I have no report, Mayor. Thank you.
Ms. Leventhal?
I have a few things, they're quick. A few months ago, we passed a resolution supporting sustainable funding for Green Acres. This did very well in the Senate, but failed in the Assembly, even, and I've received word that Myla J.C. spoke very strongly during caucus on this, but there weren't enough votes. Actually, it didn't even get to the Assembly. There weren't enough votes to bring it to the Assembly. And that John McKeon, who was a prime sponsor, spoke passionately about moving this along, but it's not happening. I met with the Community Coalition on Race, and South Orange was there. This is about a volunteer training seminar session that they're going to hold in the fall. This will help both individuals learn how to volunteer, how to go forward, how to assess for themselves where they would fit in the world of volunteerism, and also help organizations understand what brings people in to volunteer. And this is our continuous effort to make sure that our committees and boards are as diverse as Maplewood is in so many ways. So I'll continue letting you know how that goes. Mr. Manning was with me, and we'll be working to bring this out with the Community Coalition. I attended the video challenge presented by the police department. It was on Friday night, two Fridays ago. This was where middle school and high school students came by. There was a van that had something like 12 or 15 units of video, and the police officers and the students were engaged in competition together. Those that didn't favor video games were playing ball, but I understand that our police officers are not very good at baseball. But that wasn't my analysis. And the police department is going to continue looking for ways to engage with young people in our communities. It was a quite very well attended event. I also attended a League of Women Voters of Maplewood and South Orange annual meeting where our clerk, Ms. Fritzen, was honored for her years of service. She was unfortunately not able to be there because of a big family event, but you were spoken extremely highly of, and you are seen as a leader among the clerks in Essex County. Chris Durkin spoke. We know all this, but it was nice to hear it coming from other people. I also wanted to mention the election the primary election on August 13th and the special election on October 16th. And what I'd like to do is have us link to the League of Women Voters of New Jersey website. There's a specific page for voting. On this page, you can download forms to register to vote and absentee ballots. So I think that this is an important information for our residents. The registration to vote in the August 13th election ends on July 23rd. And unless you go down and hand your absentee ballot the day before to the county, you need to submit that. Again, the form is online by August 6th. Okay, that information is bulleted on this webpage from the League of Women Voters
Will
of New
also
Jersey.
be remaining open, as we do with every election, until 9 p.m. on that last day to register at the town hall.
And you are, you have all the forms also, so.
Correct.
So you're up until 9 on the 23rd, July 23rd?
I think it's the 16th.
Okay. All right, the website said, all right. That's all I have, thank you.
Mr. Brownlee?
I just have one question.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Both the primary election in August and then the special election in October, would that warrant like an email blast to our own residents?
Only if I don't know, unless we do that for.
I don't think we'd do that. I don't think we'd do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the political process is appropriate.
Yeah.
For you to get involved in.
Okay.
Every registered voter, if I could just add, this is going to receive sample ballot notification,
Correct.
as they would for any other election.
Well, but the fact is that the October date is on a Wednesday,
Wednesday.
and the August date is in the middle of a lot of people's vacations,
Yeah.
so. Okay. Mr. Brownlee?
Just that I'll be having my office hours next Tuesday, July 9th, from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. at the Hilton branch of the Maplewood Memorial Library, located at 1688 Springfield Avenue, from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. So if residents are interested in speaking with me about any matters, I will be there during that time. Thank you.
Great. Ms. Larrier?
No report.
Okay, I have two things. Mr. Manning, could you grab these for you, Mr. Manning, and Ms. Fritzen? I handed out information about Maplewood Crossing, their update as to when they're going to be opening. The one's for Mr. Desiderio. Well, the reason is because, Mr. Desiderio, they say they're going to begin putting people in there on September 1st. And we got a letter from Community Grants and Planning says that they have not been responsive on their affordable housing. So if you could,
Yeah, this actually raises, yes, the answer is absolutely. It also raises another question that Mr. Fresalone raised with me today that I didn't think was of immediate concern, and that is the implementation of the pilot and how
Correct.
it works on a per-unit basis. So this is something we'll have to work on, absolutely. I didn't think they were anywhere near good for them.
you see here. So the other thing is I just wanted all of you to know, because we're getting questions about this, and so you can see the dates here and you can let people know what they're thinking about.
Right, and it has been our policy, and it was certainly with 125 Donnell, that unless and until they have come to an agreement on their co-obligations or affordable housing, I shouldn't use co, I guess, on their affordable housing obligations, no COs are issued. So we do enforce that, so.
And not only that, but we ran into the problem with the station house. We had to have a special meeting to approve the bond, the whatever, the maintenance bond. Performance bond, we had to have a special meeting last Friday.
And I don't know why Mr. Mittermeier took that position.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
not.
That was the position he took, so we had to have a special meeting because you were enjoying yourself somewhere else. And we didn't want to tax you, so,
But I will not be on September the 1st, I promise.
no, you'll be around.
Can,
Yeah.
It's a Sunday.
can they show if they have not fulfilled that COLA
Yes,
responsibility?
but we know because they have to work with an agency.
Yeah, it's not that they haven't fulfilled it, they just haven't coordinated with the township's Community Grants Planning and Housing Coordinator, who works through all the processes with them and makes sure that they are in compliance. So we'll reach out to, I spoke to Ms. York this week, and I will follow up with her.
Okay, great. My other item is I too have office hours Tuesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. With that, we can adjourn this meeting,
So, second.
and we'll meet again on July 16th at 7:30 p.m. right here. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good night, everyone.